Hello again everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another speed build video in The Sims 4. I hope you're all having the most amazing day ever so far and thank you so much for joining me here today. We're back, we're building in Chestnut Ridge yet again. I'm still on my horse ranch kick, as I'm sure many builders are, but we are building today on a 40 by 30 lot and we're building a huge generations style family house. So this house I envisioned was for 7 Sims and a horse. So we've got, I think, let me just try and work this out. We've got either grandparents or a grandparent. We've got the parents, we've got a teen, we've got a child, we've got an infant, and then we've got the horse. That was what I was thinking. So this is a fully packed house. It has everything you could possibly want and need, and I am really happy with how this house turned out. So you'll have to let me know what you think in the comments down below. But we are currently working on the exterior here. Now, I was working from a reference image that I found on Pinterest. I'll pop it on the screen for you now so that you can see what we were working towards. But as you can see, it's kind of like an L-shaped home. And I love L-shaped houses and I love building them in The Sims. I've built them infrequently. You'll see if you go through my channel, I've built them maybe a handful of times, but I really genuinely enjoy building them, and I really like how this house turned out. I actually built it over the space of 2 days. So I started this yesterday, it's Sunday today, so I started it on the Saturday and then I finished building it today. So it's taken me 2 days, not 2 solid days, you know. I've been dipping in and out and had a little cheeky gaming sesh with April and Reese last night, so I have had breaks in between. But I've thoroughly enjoyed building this house, genuinely, and I've been wanting to build like a more modern sort of farmhouse style house, and I think this kind of ticks that box. It's got elements of that traditional sort of style, but also elements of the more modern farmhouse too, and I kind of like how we've combined them with this house. And it's really funny actually, because as I was building it here, I wasn't even thinking that the family were going to even have a horse. And then I was thinking, okay, so if you're in this world, you're more than likely going to have a horse. So I can't remember exactly when, but at some point while I was doing the exterior, I thought, yeah, let's just create a cute little barn so that your Sims can have a horse as well, because if they're living in Chestnut Ridge, the likelihood is that they're probably going to have a horse. That was my sort of thought process. So if your Sims don't have a horse for whatever reason, obviously they can live in Chestnut Ridge and not have any animals. So if they don't, then you can just remove the little stable area that I created, and the house will still look really nice, sort of just without that area, if that makes sense. Anyway, one of the things I really love about how this house turned out is the exterior color scheme, and I love that we went for this like darker roof with the light wood paneling and then teamed it with this sort of like dark stone brick. I just think it looks really good. Now, the reference image that I've already put on screen, I don't know if you can remember it, but I literally just took the house shape. There was nothing else that I really took from the house, like the color schemes, the landscaping. Obviously it didn't have any stables or anything like that. I literally just used that image for the actual shape of the house and it came in super handy, because as I was saying, I love creating L-shaped houses, and it's something that I think I want to do more of in the future, because I tend to just create them as and when I sort of feel like I want to, which is, I suppose, what anybody would do really. Anyway, now we are working on the landscaping here. The landscaping actually stumped me a little bit, because I have spoken about this about Chestnut Ridge before. I feel like you don't really have to go too like heavy with the landscaping, because I don't know what it is about this world, but I just don't feel like you need to do that. And especially when you're creating like a more modern sort of farmhouse, I didn't want to go too heavy with the landscaping, because more often than not that they don't look unkempt, or I don't know, I wanted to just keep it quite balanced. So that's what I ended up doing here. I did pull out this truck from the debug menu from Horse Ranch, which I don't think I've actually used yet. I've used some of the vehicles from Horse Ranch debug, but I haven't used this one. And the reason I know this is because it's got like this really cute, like you can see where the dirt sort of kicked back on the vehicle, and it's just like a little extra level of detail, and it's just something that I noticed. And then I do pull out some debug items from the cottage living pack too, because I have figured out, as I'm sure many other people have, it's not groundbreaking by any stretch of the imagination, but that cottage living and horse ranch go beautifully together, like genuinely beautifully. And whilst I didn't use too many items from cottage living on the interior, I used a fair amount of items from horse ranch, obviously, because we are building it's not a ranch, it's more of like a farmhouse is what I would describe it as. But yes, I have used a lot of items from that pack. But this is where we end up building like the little horse barn is probably what I'm going to call it. It's quite small. I hope it doesn't look like an afterthought, because that is definitely what this little area was. But I do think it fits in really perfectly with this house. So you'll have to let me know what you think. And I went for like this mintish, like green colour here, which I think works really, really well. And in my opinion, fits really, really well with the vibe of the house. But again, please let me know what you think in the comments down below. And it was also really important for me to keep the terrain quite natural looking, because I didn't want it to look too sort of pristine and sort of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. I just didn't want it to look too pristine. I kind of wanted to keep this sort of rustic element to the build whilst maintaining that it does have a sort of like modern farmhouse vibe. I hope that makes sense. It makes sense in my head anyway. And then we do jump onto the back of the build here and just add the windows in. I do add a back porch on here as well, and whilst it doesn't actually lead on to any sort of garden, I thought it worked kind of nicely, because as you can see here, there's like just off to the back there's like a paddock for your horses to sort of like play with a ball, and you can practice, I think it's barrel racing, and I don't know if there's a jump in there too, but there's like a little sheltered area here as well. So I kind of thought that works quite perfectly, and I thought it was just a really, really nice kind of view for you Sims to enjoy from this back area here. But I hope you don't mind, sorry, that there isn't really a back garden as such. Now for me it worked out perfectly, because as we all know, me and back gardens just don't tend to mix. They're not my strong suit whatsoever. I don't really enjoy doing them either, so this kind of worked out perfectly for me. But you'll have to let me know if that's something that has bothered you. I do apologise if it does, but I just feel like the house offers so much in terms of activities on the inside, etc. So I kind of feel like it makes up for it in that respect. And there's also a lot of outdoor space at the front too, so if you wanted to add some outdoor activities, you could definitely add them to the front of the build. And I don't think it really matters all that much. But what I did decide to do with the windows was like smush them together so that they sort of not created one big window, but there wasn't like a gap in between them. I just thought it looked a little bit better. And then it's really funny because when I started furnishing the inside, I could kind of see where they were clipping and just not quite lining up. And because I've got, I don't know, it's definitely not, well, I don't know whether it is OCD or whether it's just me being a complete perfectionist. It's probably the latter, but I was like tweaking with the windows and just making sure that they were I say completely straight. I don't think they are. When I was looking at them, when I was actually hanging the curtains and stuff, I was like, okay, well, I'm kind of sick of messing with them, so they kind of are what they are now. But anyway, and then I do end up finishing up the landscaping at the back here because, as I was saying, there's not too much room out back here, so I just end up carrying on with the landscaping and sort of like bringing the same pattern from the front around to the back so that there's some sort of continuity and it makes a little bit of sense. And then I do add a tree here, which I don't know why I did that. I just figured it looked kind of nice. And then I also thought this tree on the right hand side there, that's actually from Cottage Living, from the debug menu, and whilst that tree is not in this world, I don't think it looks out of place. You'll have to let me know if you agree or disagree, but I actually really like how this tree looks on this build. You'll have to let me know what you think. And then I tried to add some detailing to the front, and then I was like, okay, less is more here, I feel. And then I do end up moving on to the interior, I believe. Yes, so this is where we end up doing the floor plan. Now, as you can see, This is a sizable house. It's not a mansion by any means, but it's definitely very, very big. It has 5 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms. I don't think I've mentioned that, and if I have, I do apologise, but yes, 5 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms, 7 Sims and a horse. Like, it had to be a big build. I remember the first build that I did with this pack when I had early access was, I think, for 6 Sims and 2 horses. So again, like a full family, but less Sims, and that house was definitely smaller than this one, definitely smaller. And I did find myself with this one having to rearrange some of the windows because the floor plan upstairs just wasn't allowing for where the window placement was initially, but that's okay, that's absolutely fine. I still think it looks really, really nice. And then a lot of the rooms, I was like, what do I turn this room into? What do I turn this room into? But we do work on the living room first. I did do a little sunken platform moment, which is not something that I really typically do, but I figured it kind of worked with this build. I actually really like how this looks, so you'll have to let me know what you think. I'm not the best at this, so it probably looks a tiny bit janky, just like a tiny little bit, so but it's fine, it's absolutely fine, it works. Now, the reason that I did this is because, as I was saying, this is a generations house, a generations farmhouse. So what I end up doing is the sunken living room, then to the left here we've got like a little play area for the kids, then to the back we've got like a little seating area in front of these windows, then we've got a standing piano. So I feel like there's different elements to this space, and the best way for me to sort of move everything around and sort of like categorize each bit was to create the sunken living room. I think it works. I think it works really, really well. I think it's something, because I don't typically do it very often, if at all, in my builds, it was just something a little bit different for me as well. And then off camera I did add these columns and then like the spandrels just around here to really like separate that area. But these are the 2 chairs that are in front of these windows here. I actually really, really like this. I tried to keep things relatively clutter free. I'm saying that with a bit of hesitation because I'm thinking about the kitchen, which is it's actually my favorite room of the entire build. Can't wait to show you that. But that is, I wouldn't say it's cluttered, but it's not cluttered either. This is, I was just trying to keep things super gameplay friendly. I've been talking a little bit more about this more recently in some of my more recent videos because I've been known to really clutter up a build, and I have to be very mindful of the fact that people actually play in my builds. Like, they actually use these in their gameplay for their Sims and their families, and I have to be very mindful of the fact that while something might look really, really nice and visually interesting, it might not be functional, or it might just create some issues. So I've definitely been trying to be more mindful of that with my more recent builds. So I remember I think it was on the gallery actually, someone had commented and said that one of the reasons they loved my builds was because they were functional. And it was on one of my more recent builds, and I was thinking, well, that's really nice, so I must be doing something right. Anyway, I've just babbled on through that entire area here, but yeah, this is like the little play area where I envisioned that the kids could just hang out, and the infant can do some tummy time, and the kids can sort of like pull the toys out and have a seat, read a book, or the parents can read to them. They could do their homework there if they want to. It was just very important for me to have that separate space, and so I just think it worked out really, really well actually. Because I was thinking there must be room for a playroom in this house when I was building the outside. There's got to be room for a playroom. If I do a big build, I'll typically make room for a separate room for the kids to play with their toys, and I realized when I'd done the floor plan that wasn't the case, and that will become quite apparent when we move on to the later part of the downstairs area. I may as well tell you because I feel like I'm alluding to it, but basically what I've done is for the grandparents or grandparent, I've created like a little granny flat on the bottom, so they've got like their bedroom, and then they've got like a little kitchenette, they've got a bathroom, and then they've got like a little living area as well. It's quite sweet actually, and it ended up working out really, really well. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that throughout my entire like favorite room. This is the kitchen. I really like this. It was a little bit daunting at first because the room is so big. The house is big, therefore the rooms are quite big, which is what you would, you know, expect. But it was a little bit daunting for me at first, and then I figured, right, let's just try it. Let's just give it a go. So this is the kitchen, and I actually really love this room. I love the vibe. I love the color scheme. I just think it's got that really nice balance of sort of like rustic coziness mixed with, I don't really think there's a modern element to this. It's I don't know. It's this is probably one of the more traditional rooms, and which is maybe one of the reasons that I like it so much actually, is that it's a little bit more traditional than the rest of the house. But I absolutely adore this room. This is probably the heart of the entire house. This is probably where the family spends most of their time. And can you imagine this room at Christmas? Like with the snow falling outside. Oh my gosh. I'm so looking forward to autumn and winter. I'm over summer now. If you know me, like, let's be real here. I think a lot of you do by now, but I don't like summer. I just don't. Like, I'm much more of an autumn person and winter person. Autumn first is my all-time favorite, and then followed very closely by winter. But I'm very much over summer now, and I can't wait to just cozy up and build some autumn houses, some Christmas houses. I'm so excited for that. I can't wait. Anyway, I love how I mentioned one thing about this room at Christmas time, and then I just decided to go off on a whole rant about autumn and winter. Anyway, that's the main kitchen area done. I do, off camera, decide to change the flooring just underneath where the actual kitchen space is. You'll see in the screenshots at the end, it looks really nice. But I had like this light bulb moment, and it so happened to come to me when I wasn't recording. Like so many of my amazing ideas. But anyway, yes, this is like the dining space of the kitchen area, but the house also has a separate dining room as well, which I believe is the room that we work on next, if my memory is serving me correctly, and I think it is. But yeah, we just add some more finishing touches to the kitchen, and then I'm almost positive we move on to the dining room, and I will find out in just a second if we do. Are we going to move on to the dining room after we do this? I'm sure we do. Yes, we do. Right, okay, so this is the dining room. It's a bit of a difficult shape, but I think I made the best of it, question mark. I'm saying that very reluctantly with hesitation. But I really like it. I did use this table from Seasons, and these chairs are from Horse Ranch, so I thought that paired really well. I do change the swatch of the table. Again, I think I do it off camera because I was looking at it and I'm thinking there's something not quite right about this. And again, I feel like it's one of these houses, one of those aesthetics where I don't think every single wood swatch has to match. I don't think it has to match. Like, this looks fine. It's just, for me, it just wasn't, I don't know, it just wasn't looking quite right. And so I ended up changing it off camera. I'm pretty sure I do it off camera. Anyway, just add some finishing touches here. This is probably one of those rooms that came together more quickly than a lot of the rooms in this house, actually, and I'm not entirely sure why that was. And I'm also looking here now, and I'm looking at some of the footage, and I can see that I've like stopped, and I think I was just getting sidetracked by 1,000,001 different things while I was doing this build. So if you see the footage pause, I am here, I promise. I am 100% here. It's just that I obviously just got on with something else while I was doing this build. Anyway, I do end up turning this room down here into an office space. So maybe one of the Sims that lives here either works from home, or they have like a part-time job, but they're a writer or a journalist, something like that. Like I didn't really give it too much thought. But I was thinking, I can't make this a bedroom because I had already had like the bedrooms earmarked for the different Sims. So I'm thinking, well, we've already got a play area, so what can we turn this into? And I was like, oh, we could turn it into an office. Like, that's perfect. When in doubt, make an office. That's my wisdom, my thoughts for the day. When in doubt, either place a plant or make an office. Or, I mean, like I said, it's not a mansion, so I didn't want to go too silly with the rooms. But yeah, I think a home office is definitely one of those rooms that you and your Sims could definitely make the most out of. If your Sims don't have a use for this, then I don't know, maybe turn it into something else. I'm sure you creative people can come up with something much more creative than I did. I literally just froze and I was like, office. So I very, very quickly threw it together. I didn't really give the room too much thought. I know that sounds really, really bad. It's not that I didn't give it too much thought. It's just that, what can you do with an office, really? I mean, that might just be me. I don't know. But I didn't give it too much thought. But yeah, I've just realised how bad that sounds. Anyway. But then I think we move on to the... Yes, I was pretending like I knew. I actually didn't. I was convinced I'd moved on to one of the bathrooms. But this is the grandparents' quarters, let's call them. Or the grandparents' quarters. I think there's only space for one grandparent here, if my maths is serving me correctly. When I'm under pressure, like, not when I'm doing a voiceover I feel under pressure, but if I start counting in my head, like, how many, like, who the Sims are and where they are, I'll freak out. Okay, so I'm not gonna freak out. Let's just do it. So let's say there's one grandparent, there's two parents, there's a teenager, there's a child, there's an infant. Yeah, so there are two grandparents, two parents, teenager, child, infant, horse. That makes 8. Yes. So yes, both grandparents were living here. That was my sort of thought. I love how long it took me to get there, so I do apologize for that. It's quite late on Sunday evening, and I'm gonna be real right now. I'm absolutely, like, Sundays for me are, I don't know how to explain this, they're not good days because I'm just dreading Mondays, you know, like going back to work. So Sundays are always bittersweet for me. I try and make the most out of them, but I just dread work on a Monday. So yeah, I don't know. Does anyone else feel that way? I feel like I tweeted about that a little while ago and so many people agreed with me. I try not to live like that, but it's just hard sometimes. Anyway, I'm not going to put a dampener on this voiceover because that is not what you came here for. But yeah, that's the like the grandparents' quarters almost done. So as you can see, I do give them like a little separate living area here as well, which I thought was really sweet. And I do use a lot of items from the Basement Treasures kit because I just figured, like, maybe they brought some stuff over from their own house and they were like, well, if we're having our own, like, living room, quote unquote, can we put some of our old furniture in there? And they were like, yeah, of course you can, like, why not? So that was sort of the idea for their little area, and I really like how this came out. Actually, I think the rooms tell a story, and they sort of really explain who the Sims are that live here, you know, and I really, really like that. So you'll have to let me know what you think. And I'd love to know if you've got a family that you could move in here. Like, what are the grandparents like? What are the parents like? The kids, do they all get along? Do they bicker? Yeah, like, what's the deal? Just tell me. I'm fascinated by that. But yeah, I do decorate the downstairs bathroom on camera. I don't know if I definitely don't. I don't do the other ones on camera because what I typically tend to do in my speed builds is I will decorate one of the bathrooms on camera so that you guys can get an idea as to what the bathrooms are like, what the vibes are like, and then I'll do the other ones off camera because my bathrooms are generally quite samey. So if you've seen one of my bathrooms, you've seen them all in one of the houses. I'm not meaning that I do the same bathroom for different houses that I do. I'm just meaning you've seen this one. So the ones upstairs are pretty much identical. But I do furnish the laundry room on camera. And as I'm saying laundry room, I have realised that I have not put any laundry baskets in any of the rooms, in any of the bedrooms upstairs. I'm so sorry. I have not done that on purpose, contrary to popular belief. So you might have to, well, you will have to, if you've got laundry day, is that the name of the stuff pack? Laundry Day. Yeah, it is. If you have Laundry Day, then you'll have to put the laundry baskets in the bedrooms. I'm so sorry. It's just something that slipped my mind. Anyway, the first bedroom that we work on is the teen room. I used a lot of items from high school years because, does it need an explanation? High school years is probably one of the best packs for build and buy. Fight me on that. Please feel free. It's definitely one of my favourite packs for build and buy, and so when I'm doing a teen room, I will definitely gravitate towards items from high school years. I just think it works. Like, the items just work so beautifully together, and you can really get across the character and a sense of who that teen sim is just by using the items from this pack. Genuinely. And I adore doing teen rooms. Ever since high school years came out, I've adored doing teen rooms. I loved doing them before, but now it's like an obsession almost. So this room came together really quickly, actually, and I wasn't expecting it, because I was half expecting me to, like I normally do, like sort of mess around with the colour schemes and not quite know what items to put where, especially again since the room, it's a big room, but it's a really nice size. It's great for gameplay, so if they want to have friends round and have a sleepover, or if they want to just like watch TV after school or do homework together, there's plenty of space for the teen and a couple of friends. So I thought that worked out really well too. And then I do move on to the main bedroom of the house. Now, the only thing to note about the teen room is that they have to walk through their bathroom to get to their room, because that was an oversight on my part when I was doing the floor plan upstairs. Yeah, it was just a complete oversight. So it's The Sims. I don't think it's too big a deal. So I just thought I'd mention it, because I don't want someone saying that I wasn't aware. I am fully aware that your Sims have to walk through their bathroom to get to their room. I'm just hoping it's not too much of a problem. I'm so sorry. Anyway, this is the main bedroom. I really like how this turned out, actually. I normally don't enjoy doing main bedrooms, but this one was really enjoyable. I actually really liked doing it, and they've even got a fireplace in here, and the only reason I added a fireplace was because I literally had no idea what else to put on this wall. I was like like long flat blank walls in The Sims, they don't scare me. Well, actually, yeah, they do kind of scare me, to the point where I'm like, I have to put something on here. Like, I just have to put something on here. Does anyone else get like that, or is it just me? Oh, it might just be me. Anyway, this is the nursery for the infant. Usually what I'll do is I'll put the infant in the room with the parents, but for this build, I decided to give them their own room, and I don't think I've done an infant dedicated room so far. So this was new for me. I really enjoyed this. I like how this room turned out. It's not overly cluttered, but it's really nicely decorated, and I just think it works so well. I absolutely adore this room. Your infant has everything they could possibly need in here, and then there's also like a rocking chair in here that came with Growing Together, so the parents can rock it to sleep. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. And then obviously when they become a toddler, you can switch out the cot for like a toddler bed, and then as they grow up, this room can just be for them. So it's a future-proof house as well, which is absolutely fantastic. Again, for longevity and for gameplay, it ticks all the boxes. I'm so proud of this build, I can't even tell you. But yeah, there's not too much going on in here, so I didn't really spend too much time on this room, because I just didn't feel like I really needed to. You know, I didn't want to go too overboard, excuse me, with too many decorations. But let's also we're going to ignore this platform roof situation on the left here. I don't know what's happened to the roofing in The Sims, but there's something going very wrong. But yeah, we're going to pretend that we don't see that. Anyway, this is the children's room. It's also really strange for me, because usually I'll put like 2 children's beds in like I'll do like a twin children's room. This is just a single children's room. So anyway, that is pretty much it for this video. You can stop listening to me ramble now. Hallelujah. But yes, if you'd like to download this house from the gallery, my origin ID is RachelPedd. Tray files, as always, are linked down in the description box below. You can get them for free from Sim File Share. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining me here today. I really hope you enjoyed this build. I can't wait to hear what you think. But you all take care, and I will see you next time. Bye!